Mr. Speaker, I rise to respond to Honourable Kirpal's question on the Ministry's plan for the livestock industry in terms of addressing issues on climate change. A very pertinent question, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, climate change is a major threat to animal and agriculture in general through its potential effects on heat stress, food and water security, extreme weather events, vulnerable shelter and population migration. Mr. Speaker, for instance, projected increases in temperature, changes in precipitation patterns and extreme weather events and reduction in freshwater availability can have negative effects on agriculture productivity and agriculture production. The livestock sector is affected by decline in livestock productivity and poor health conditions of animals which lead to high mortality rates, as evident during past droughts in particular. Mr. Speaker, studies have proven the responses of animals to heat stress reduces feed intake by more than 15% and reduces milk yield by 20% in general. Mr. Speaker, if this happens to the already existing low yield in milk production, then you can see what the impact could be, how devastating the impact could be. Mr. Speaker, considering climate change and its negative effects on Fiji's agriculture sector, the Ministry of Agriculture have put together a plan to ensure that we establish a resilient agricultural food system. The livestock sector, various commodity development programs have been carefully executed to ensure sustainability and productivity. The Speaker the Ministry of Agriculture has significantly invested into the following livestock areas to circumvent climate change issues in national interest. 1. Genetic conservation and crossbreeding programs through the use of resilient native breeds in breeding programs. Mr. Speaker, animal genetic diversity is critical for food security and rural development. It allows farmers to select, stock up, and develop new breeds in response to changing conditions, including climate change, new resurgent disease threats, new knowledge of human and animal nutrition requirements, and changing societal needs. Mr. Speaker, conserving native animal genetic resource for future food security purpose is vital. This is due to its adaptation to local conditions and better survival rates in times of drought and disaster as compared to exotic breeds. Therefore, our Ministry of Agriculture is committed to this genetic conservation program whereby the local breeds are conserved and reared at agricultural stations for crossbreeding programs of climate resilience and exotic breeds. Local breeds of pig, for example, is very resilient to diverse kinds of fodder, pasture, as well as heat situation. They are also quite efficient in terms of feed intake. So what we are doing at the research station at Cornevia is to crossing these local breeds of pig with the imported breeds, for example, the large Landrock breed, etc. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, we are also crossing the local free-range chicken with the meat-bed chicken to gain feed efficiency as well as develop hardy conditions amongst these high-yielding poultry, which will allow them to be tolerant and also require less feed during difficult times. Honourable Speaker, the second the program is introduction of heat-tolerant pure breeds through embryo transfer program. Honourable Speaker, recently Fiji has undertaken and invested with grant from Government of Australia in livestock biotechnology program by the use of embryo transfer technology to boost cattle sector. Mr. Speaker, our cattle that we have, both beef cattle and dairy cattle, are actually very low yielding breeds that we have. Carcass contents compared to the breeds that we have in Australia and New Zealand are about 1/3 on an average. Milk yield are about 1/5 of what we get per cow, per herd, per day in New Zealand and Australia. The Speaker said there's an urgent need to bring in new high-yielding breeds which are tolerant to local conditions. But we are subjected to strict biosecurity requirement because some of the diseases that we have in Australia and New Zealand, we don't have it in Fiji. And we don't want to end up introducing new diseases which could be devastating for our livestock sector, which is already suffering from tuberculosis and brucellosis. At the moment, in Australia, it took them in New Zealand, it took them 40 years to eradicate their cattle stock from TB and brucellosis. We have just started. We haven't yet done testing of TB and brucellosis in Vanuatu. Order. Mr. Speaker said, we don't want to bring in a breed, one, that will introduce any new disease, given that we are at the moment really devoting a lot of resources to test and eradicate our existing stock with TB and brucellosis. Secondly, we don't want to introduce a breed, high-yielding breed, when they would come here and get infected with TB and brucellosis. So we have adopted this embryo transfer program, which will ensure there's no transfer of any diseases. These are fertilized embryos, which we get in test tube. We insert it in female cattle, and they give birth to that original breed. And here we're talking about brown Swiss for dairy cattle and Senapol for beef cattle. Honourable Speaker said, Ministry has adopted the embryo transfer technique, which has been assisted by funding from Government of Australia. Speaker said this genetic improvement technology will be replicated to the local farmers after adaptability studies. And at the moment, we are developing our nuclear herd, and from there, then we will start multiplying to distribute it to the farm. So in the second stage, we will provide this cattle to the farmers, as well as will provide the breeder stock to the farmers, so that we can rapidly increase the provision of these high-yielding cattle and dairy cattle and beef cattle. Mr. Speaker said, we also are mindful of the effect of drought to our livestock sector. And this is a reality in the small island states where we are subjected to frequently droughts given the situation with climate change and El Nino. And Mr. Speaker, if you have noted, in the past drought we have lost a lot of livestock. Yangara is one of our largest farms where at the moment we have got 5,000 heads of beef cattle. And in the past, during drought, we lost a lot of those cattle because, for two reasons. One, we did not have adequate pasture, and second was lack of adequate volume of drinking water. To deal with both these two, one is we had to look at an alternative pasture source. At the moment, the pasture that we have around the country are in paddock pasture, which has got very shallow rooting system. So to ensure that we provide a pasture which is drought resistant, we are now introduced, thanks to the government of China, which has got a Junkao technology station in Nandi, at Lengalenga research station, we have now introduced a very deep-rooted, high-protein content cut and carry pasture, which we are now multiplying amongst the farms, livestock farms in Fiji. The Speaker said at the same time, we have located, and in Yangara, we've got over 22 acres of this Junkao pasture already established. So if there's a drought, let's say, this month, we will be able to supply the cattle with this cut and carry pasture, which every 3 months it can be renewed. You harvest that pasture every 3 months, cut, carry, and feed it to the livestock. We have also got we have developed adequate source of water should there be a drought, and we have noted that these sources do not dry during the drought season. So we are now pretty much ready, well established to deal with the drought at the Yangara Yangara cattle station. So the speaker said, we also have introduced other forms of pasture which are high protein content to our livestock farms, and we have got a set timetable and structure to provide this to all the large, medium and large, all the medium and large livestock farms throughout Fiji, so that they would have this pasture established on those farms. So, Mr. Speaker said, we are pretty much well established in terms of getting well established in terms of dealing with any adverse weather conditions, which would have a devastating effect on our livestock sector. Thank you.
I thank the Honourable